Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey and this is the off-road three-row crossover from Nissan in the 2024 Pathfinder Rock Creek. This off-road three-row crossover is set to go up against the recently redesigned Honda Pilot Trail Sport and the recently introduced Chevrolet Traverse Z71. However, those two vehicles start at $4,000 and $2,000 more expensive than this one currently sits. So, are you getting a whole lot more features, or is this the value play of the bunch? Stay tuned to find out. First thing I want to say, huge thanks to Nissan for bringing me my second Pathfinder Rock Creek. Yes, we've already tested one of these on the channel last year, and in that video I took it off-road to my friend, my co-host on our premium channel, Eric's property, where we tested its off-road chops in different scenarios. But this one is going to be strictly on-road. Why? Well, because I do believe 90%, if not more, of the time, these trims are going to be on road. They probably aren't going to see a lot of off-road duty, though they are more capable. We'll get into all their credentials here in just a moment. But being that I'm in this one, that I've been living with it in my suburban life, in my neighborhood, driving it around to and from zoo camp and the like, how does this vehicle fit into our family of three's lifestyle? How does it work in city traffic, where again, I feel it's going to spend a majority of its time? Well, let's start that story underneath the hood. Under the hood of this one, we find a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6, something that the Chevrolet cannot claim. They have dropped that down to a turbocharged four-cylinder. The Honda Pilot, of course, also uses a naturally aspirated V6, like this Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek. But this being the Rock Creek, we actually get more power than the standard Pathfinder when you use premium fuel. This makes 295 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque when you do put the good stuff in the fuel tank, but lesser power when you use 83 octane. No big complaint there. This is mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and even though, yes, you can see it is a transversely mounted V6, this does get four-wheel drive, or more correctly, all-wheel drive, because there is no transfer case. Yes, plenty of power. I'm going to go ahead and turn this to sport mode right now, which you can do with the dial here. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. But all-wheel drive, premium fuel gives you more power, but let's go ahead. 9-speed took a little bit to figure out what I wanted it to do, but when it did, like, it's a strong power plant. It pulls, it does everything you would want it to. There's no turbo lag because there's no turbo. And a lot of you have commented on any video that I've posted with a turbocharged four-cylinder. Yes, but you're putting a lot of strain on a smaller engine. Well, you don't have to worry about that here. Naturally aspirated V6. When it comes to the styling of this vehicle, the Rock Creek gets more rugged off-road styling, and I do believe that is one of the more appealing parts of this particular trim, is just kind of its rough and tumble exterior. Styling of the Rock Creek leans in heavy to the off-road craze that is sweeping the segment right now. So we get a lot of things that make it look rough and ready to go, including a beefy, more aggressive front end. We get those three porthole-like elements on the V-Motion grille. No, they aren't functional, but that does harken back to the original body-on-frame Pathfinder, which of course this one is not. You can see we do get a nice headlight and running light combinations up there, but we do have incandescent turn signals, which is a little bit of a knock in 2024, but just shows that this is an aging platform that Nissan really gussied up for the modern era. I hope we get a ground up redesign sometime soon, but Nissan is currently working through the rest of their lineup to do such as that. As we come around to the side, I can talk about how this gets 5/8 inch additional ground clearance. Not really a lift. I do believe it's mostly due to the 18-inch wheel and tire package on this one and a little bit of suspension work. And speaking of those tires, we'll go ahead and pull into them. Yes, they are 18-inch wheels. They are Beadlock style wheels, but no, they are not Beadlock wheels. And we are wrapped in Toyo Open Country all-terrain tires. So very rugged look on this. Definitely not something that you would find on, say, a Grand Highlander, because, well, there is no off-road trim of that Grand Highlander. And go ahead and pull in here so that you can see the measurements. These are 265/60 R18s. And as we pull out to the side over here, you can see we get those Rock Creek badges on the front. We get black plastic lower cladding just to give kind of that lifted, aggressive appearance on the side. We get a floating roof design, and we get a tubular roof rack that is capable of supporting up to 220 pounds. Go ahead, pull in here, because it is a metallic roof rack, which is really cool. But yeah, you can see here, 220-pound weight limit. As we pull around to the back of the vehicle, again, we get incandescent turn signals back here, but a nice boxy, square-ish design that follows all other Pathfinders. And I think it translates very nicely. Again, here with that roof rack, kind of adding that height, that aggressiveness to it. And then you can see those all-terrain tires kind of poking out from here as well. This one does have a 6,000-pound tow rating, which is very competitive for the class. Most of the class is stuck somewhere around the 5,000-pound weight limit. And of course, we do get a Rock Creek badge right back here on the back as well. Blacked out four-wheel drive badge and a manually lifting liftgate here. No power liftgate on this one. So if you spend $2,000 more and get the Traverse Z71, you will get an AutoSense power liftgate. So that is one of the things we are missing on the exterior of this that its more modern competition does bring to the table. Though when we open it up back here, we've got quite a bit of space. I'll go ahead and put all the cargo numbers on the screen for you so you can see what it looks like behind the third, second, and first rows. You can see this being the Rock Creek, we get this kind of afterthought of a all-weather liner back here that attaches to the seat back as well. So it is actually connected back here. You don't have to worry about a bunch of dirt getting in back behind. But to fold these seats down, you do have to first fold the headrest down, which also comes in handy for visibility out of the back of the vehicle. And then to fold the seats down themselves, you can see they are 60/40 split bench folding rear seats. We do have top tethers all the way across. We'll talk about child seat installation in our family review that drops later this week, so be sure to hit subscribe for that. But you can see we've got some pretty nice amenities back here. The third seatbelt is a detachable one that comes down from the ceiling, so again, to help with the overall cargo space back here. The entire time I've been talking back here, my backpack has been in the vehicle. Can you spot it? No, you cannot, because much like the Traverse and much like the Pilot, we do have a very nice wide opening rear cargo compartment underneath back here that allows for items like a backpack. I do believe the Traverses is bigger. I feel like I could have gotten two of my backpacks in there. I could probably get 1.5 here in the Pathfinder, but I do like the hinges have a little bit of resistance to it, so you don't have to worry about that falling down specifically. And then coming to me, I'm 5'10", and you can see just how wide the hatch opens. It works fine in our 1963 built 2 single bay door garage, but yes, it is a manually opening and close. I do think Nissan is onto something with the rough and tumble exterior style of this. There are many other players besides the Pilot Trail Sport and the Traverse Z71, but those are really the size comparables to this vehicle. Interestingly enough, Ford recently ditched their off-road trim, moving to the new body style, the mid-cycle refresh of the Ford Explorer. No Timberland edition anymore. So I don't know what quite is going on there, but that one definitely feels a lot smaller inside. Speaking of inside, let's take you on a quick tour of everything here inside the Pathfinder. Before we climb in this one, I do want to show you the key. Typical Nissan key. I like that they haven't gone big and bulky. They've kept with the same general size for over a decade, and I really like the Nissan key. It's got everything on it you need as well. You've got lock, unlock, panic, and remote start. Something, again, Toyota doesn't offer in a dedicated button. They do offer remote start, but no dedicated button. You can also deploy a key, physical key from the backside, but you do not have to because this does have passive entry. I will say only on the front door, so we can unlock it just by grabbing the back of the door handle. We can lock it again by pushing those 3 lines right there, but again, only on the front doors. It does respond relatively quickly to letting you get in, so I do like that a lot. As we open the doors, you can see they open nice and wide, but it is a very dark interior. This is the only color combination that you can get on the Rock Creek. It's black leatherette, cloth inserts on the seats, and orange stitching all the way around. So a lot of black here on the inside of this one. So if you don't like dark interiors, you may stay away from the Rock Creek and look at other trims. I really do like the platinum. But you can see here, it is all nicely, softly padded, even here on the armrest. Really like that. We have express up down on all 4 windows, locks, mirror controls, and everything with a power lockout right there. A little bit of storage right here, a lot of bit of storage down here, and then coming to the seats, you can see multi-way positional driver seat, but a manual passenger seat. We do have 2-way lumbar, so that is a nice touch. And then again, talking about the seats, they are leatherette and cloth, but we get all this orange stitching. We get the Rock Creek embossed here, as well as on the lid to the center console. We'll go ahead and come in, get out of the heat outside, and take a look at the interior. We'll go ahead and fire it up, put my foot on the brake, push the engine start stop button, and get a look at the gauges. We see a little animation there of a Pathfinder, and then you can see all of the infotainment options in here. We'll talk about screens while we're looking at them. We have a 7-inch screen here in the middle between some analog gauges, something I know Holly will definitely like when we do our family review. But with many Nissan products, the UI is not my favorite. I feel like they should just lean a little bit further in and go all in with Google. They have started going and leaning in with Google on the new Rogue and some other vehicles in their lineup. So perhaps we will see updated interfaces if and when we get a new body style for the Pathfinder. And then coming over to the infotainment screen, we have an 8-inch unit here. It just seems a little bit small, especially with all this black plastic surrounding it. That just kind of amplifies the fact that it's small, but otherwise it's snappy and responsive. It does have wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so it is a little dated. When it comes to comparing this to the Chevy and the Honda, it's more on par with what the Honda gives you, but definitely lagging behind the Chevrolet with this massive 17.7-inch infotainment screen in the Traverse. We'll go ahead and start over my left knee here. We have 2 poverty blanks right here, a steering assist button right here, and then your brightness control for your gauges. Nothing else really to go there. We get a lot of buttons here for safety, for driver assistance stuff, and for your infotainment on the steering wheel, but typical Nissan steering wheel. We do get paddles for that 9-speed automatic on the back, and then all your light and wiper controls right there. Already talked about the screen here, but I did want to call out the fact that it actually says camera instead of having a camera logo. I don't know, it just kind of stands out to me. But very good cameras on this. So while it does have a very small screen, we have very good cameras, full 360 cameras on this. So I like that a lot. You even have trajectory as you turn the wheel, so that is a nice touch. And then if you are in off-road mode, you get some additional camera views here as well. Hazard button, air vents do really good job. Tri-zone HVAC control with rear controls up here, so I like that a lot. They are fully automatic, and then we have heated front seats, no heated and ventilated seats. Otherwise, physical buttons for all the controls up here. Really do like that. Coming down here, I mentioned wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have your choice of USB-A or USB-C. Both of them interface with the head unit, so that is a very nice touch. And then we get a little bit of rubberized storage here, a little bit of storage right here, a couple cup holders right here, and then an interesting slider for the 9-speed automatic. Push button for park there, but pull back for drive and manual mode, push forward for reverse. It's in their other products, so if you've been in a modern Nissan, there you go. Electronic parking brake, auto hold, and auto start stop defeat button for when you're in traffic. Here are all your drive modes. You can see we've got sand, mud, rut, snow, auto, eco, sport, and tow. So those are all of our drive modes, and you can see as we scroll through them, we get a little readout here on the 7-inch driver information screen right up here, but it does default to auto. Again, you get Rock Creek here with the leatherette armrest. It's nicely padded. Pathfinder right there, and then a really good center console with a little ledge here for coins or whatever the case may be. Holly's put her makeup there before. Put a tire pressure monitor or pins, business cards up underneath here, so it's relatively useful. And then, speaking of useful, there is a nice little cubby here that worked very well for putting my iPhone 14 Pro Max up here. Unfortunately, that's what I'm filming on right now, so I can't show you, but yes, it fits my iPhone quite well. And then we have a very damped glove box right here, but it is hard plastic lined, no felt, as so to speak. No sunroof on this one because of the roof rack and everything, but just gobs of headroom in this. In all 3 rows, headroom is not an issue. And speaking of all 3 rows, let's go ahead and pop back into the second and third rows. Another nice storage option that I had to pop out to show you is the pass-through underneath the center console up here. Very, very roomy and spacious. You can see we've got our pencil bag, go bag up underneath here, kind of for size reference if you've ever used one in a 3-ring binder, but a very nice handy spot to store items, maybe even a purse if you want. Coming to the back doors, I already mentioned the proximity entry, passive entry is not on those, but you can see they do open up nice and wide, so getting a car seat in is very easy no matter what row you're trying to bring it into. Definitely hit subscribe so you see our family review. Back doors are a little plain. There are no visor or shades built in back here on this trim. We do get a couple of cup holders in the door, so that is nice. A little bit of storage right here, a little bit of storage down there. And then we get captain seats here in the second row. Again, just like up front, they are leatherette and cloth, orange stitching. They look rather nice. We'll go ahead and pop in here and close the door while we talk about space and storage. You can see sitting behind myself at 5'10", plenty of room. I've got no complaints here. We do have a map pocket back here, a map pocket back here. We've got our tri-zone climate controls on the back, but no air vents because they're in the proper spot in the ceiling. So both first or second and third row seats do get AC vents in the ceiling, which really comes in handy when you have rear-facing car seats in the heat of a Texas summer. I just felt so bad for Tucker when he was riding in a reverse seat in the heat of summer. This would definitely alleviate all of that. Just like up front, we do get all-weather floor mats. It's one big piece going all the way back here, so that is very nice. And then we get a center console here with, again, a couple of cup holders, a little bit of storage here. But this is removable. You had to pull off this front panel right here and keep that handy. And there is a handle right there for you to lift up and remove. We've got hard plastic underneath there. So that could serve as a pass-through to get to the third row of seats if you needed to. but we'll get to that here in just a moment. Speaking of me, I was talking about gobs of headroom. Still plenty of headroom, even though I am sitting up above the front row of seats. This is my eye line right here. I have a nice view out the windshield over top of the front seat up here. So it is stadium style seating, which I like rather much back here. And then I did mention these are reclining seats, so they recline a decent amount, get pretty comfortable back here. But that is not the only trick of these seats. We'll go ahead and pop out and show you what this button does right here, because it allows you to get into the back of the vehicle even with a child seat in place. You know what? I'm actually going to do something I don't typically do since we already have Tucker's child seat in place. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Hit that button. Child seat is still in place, and because of the added weight, it didn't do it by itself. But yeah, you can still get into the third row with a child seat in place. Not everybody in the segment does this. I do know because I recently tested the Traverse that it does. You can see we get some plastic steps here to climb in the back. And unfortunately, there's a little bit less room over here with the car seat than over there. But I'll go ahead and show you from this side exactly what it's like to climb in the back for somebody who is approaching 40. So I got back here rather fine. And then again, we have all-weather floor mats back here, so that is a nice touch. I'll go ahead and show you there. Yeah, all-weather floor mats, but then warning not to put your feet here because those are the tracks for the seats right there. Before I pull the seats back and show you legroom, I do want to be somewhat comfortable to show you some of the amenities. Couple cup holders over here. We do have a clip for that seatbelt if we want. There are the air vents that I told you about. Decent size windows back here so you're not super claustrophobic. And then a couple cup holders over here. No power to speak of, but that's okay because I don't know that you're going to be spending a lot of time back here. This is the most upright position. It's not too bad. Now we'll go ahead and pull the seat back. So yes, you won't be spending a lot of time back here because with the seat fully back, my knees at 5'10" are in the seat, but nary a worry there because there is a button here on the back to get that seat up and out of the way as well. There was plenty of room up there to negotiate with the second row passenger. And then these seats do also recline a little bit to give you a little more comfort. So there are some nice luxuries back here. Not bad for a third row, but still more or less for kids or emergency use adults. So you want to see me try and climb out of the back with the child seat? It can be done. So yes, it is a very nice interior. It's not going to overwhelm you with any creature comforts, so to speak, but it's got a lot of what modern drivers expect. Heated seats? Yeah. Comfortable seats? Yeah. Infotainment? Yeah. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto? Yeah. Even if it's not wireless. And then visibility as I'm driving this. Visibility's actually pretty good. I already talked about just the gobs of headroom. That also means big windows, so I can see out and around me very nicely. Although you will want to make sure those headrests are folded down back in the back because otherwise you have an obstructed view looking out the back. With them folded, much better view out of the back. I generally keep those third row seats folded because we don't need them. Driving it around town, it's big, but it doesn't feel huge. And going back to the Honda Pilot Trail Sport, I feel like Honda designers, engineers really kind of leaned in too hard to softening the suspension in the Trail Sport for off-road duty, that when I got it in my neighborhood and in my daily life, the Pilot Trail Sport just felt so floaty. I felt like I was piloting the Titanic over rough seas. It just bounced over everything. This has a firmer suspension. You will not mistake it for a Cadillac or a luxury vehicle by any means. And those Toyo open country tires are a little noisy, especially on this higher textured pavement that I'm on now. This is on smoother pavement. I can still hear the tires singing. So there are some trade-offs that you make for the exterior look outside, but I think it's stuff that general buyers are willing to overlook. Otherwise, no creaks, no rattles in here. It's very well put together. I'd say it is a very good value in the segment, especially comparing it to the brand new Chevy Traverse Z71 that starts at $2,000 more than this, but does give you more options as standard. And it is definitely the value play against the Honda Pilot Trail Sport, which starts $4,000 higher than this. Yes, both of those are on brand new platforms, while this is riding on, let's face it, an aging platform. My sister-in-law has the previous generation of this, and well, the bones are the same, but the updates have been to the exterior and interior. And I'd say that's really where you need to put the money. I think Nissan did a great job updating and modernizing this. And if price is your number one concern, but you want a off-road look, off-road ready, maybe 3-row crossover for your family, I'd say this is definitely worth a cross shop, especially against the Honda Pilot Trail Sport and the Chevy Traverse Z71, because this one does undercut those by just so much. There you have it, a quick on-road review of the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek. If you want to see more from us here on the channel, hit the subscribe button down below and ring the bell so you are notified every time a new video drops. Find us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, you name it. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com. But as for me, in the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek, until next time, gearheads, bye. Anymore. Don't have to worry about this thing scraping in our normal life, and as probably famous by now, we have a 13-degree incline driveway, very steep. There are certain vehicles we definitely have to worry about rubbing and making a little chin music. Don't have to worry about that here in the Rock Creek.